See this? This is why I'm starting a review channel. I freaking love this series. I love it so much, and it's so underrated, and it's been lacking in translations. That's gonna stop. That's gonna stop. This is my latest volume of the Vinland Saga, one of my favorite series ever, and I wanted to talk about it. And I'm gonna give a little info about what am I gonna do with reviews. I will review anything that has to do with historical fiction, whether it's manga, movies, literature. So Vinland Saga fits that topic. I will be a manga reviewer, but I will be mostly about historical fiction. I will do other things, but that will be my main topic. Okay, so the Vinland Saga, chapters 109 to 112. Since they were all translated together since the monthly series, they finally got translated all of them at the same time. Good, because I was missing it for almost 4 months. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Okay, so the 109 I really like because it's like Sigurd explaining to his parents why Gudrid ran away. And he's like, I'm sorry, I have brought shame upon my family. And he's like, his dad says, you can go and bring her back and stop our shame. But what I like most about this chapter is Sigurd's parents, his father and mother. And his mother says, do not underestimate women. And I really like her chess metaphor, because she says, what if the pawn has free will? And what if she just decides to walk out the door and not do what you want? So yeah, I agree with her. She's brilliant. Don't think women don't have free will. In Viking society, Viking women did have kind of an equality. More equality than a lot of civilizations, but still not equal. But they had a lot more freedom than most. At that time anyway. Shield maidens could go out and fight, as long as their home was taken care of. Like they had children, their children could grow up. It was really good. But I also love that with Leif Erikson telling Gudrid now that she's with them, you're gonna pull your weight. You aren't just gonna pussy around and say take care of me because you didn't say take care of me. So they're not going back home. They're just going to Greekland, which is present day Greece. And I really like how they're doing that, because Greece at the time was the Byzantine Empire, so it was still pretty high up, but it's before the major crusade, so it's a really good time to do this travel before all this chaos of the crusades comes up. So it was really nice. And then chapter 110 begins with two tribes battling each other. We don't know what's going on, but we see this woman running with a baby, and then she gets shot in the back. And then we don't see her. She keeps running. I'm like, damn, she's tough. And then we go back to the main party, and Gudrid is seasick, and I'm like, oh. But that was hilarious. And they arrive in Faro, and I actually remember this from reading the early Vinland Saga, and this is the place where Thorfinn's father died. It was really, I'm like, what does the name sound familiar? I may be a historian, damn it, but that sounded way too familiar. So, it was really good that they came here, because Thorfinn gives Einar his resolution of what he thinks he needs to do, or what he is. And I really like their speech, because these two are brothers. They're brothers. Oh wait, this is the Wiener cousins Scrubs. They're brothers, because Thorfinn says, my father hated fighting, but yet he kept a sword. Why did he do that? And I really like this philosophy, because I'm like, as much as you want to live in a world without violence, that ain't gonna happen. And I think he thinks my father kept a sword to protect the family. He still despised fighting, but he had to do what he had to do when the time came, and that's what Einar tells Thorfinn. Make sure if you're gonna fight, you make sure it's the freaking last resort. Don't do it. And I really like the realism of that, because but it's Viking society. They're freaking violent, and but this is something that's rare to play in what our knowledge of Viking is. too. And then they realize that whenever they go to many islands, Leaf knows where everybody. I'm like, of course he knows everybody. He's a freaking sailor. Happy Leaf Erikson Day. And they leave and they come to another island. And this is the island that was shown earlier in the chapter, or the chapter before that. Remember, I'm discussing 4 of them. And he sees a lot of dead bodies, and Thorfinn gets out, and then he starts exploring the island, and he sees a destroyed house, but he makes no big deal of it. And then while he's out there, I really like this conversation because it's hilarious. I'm like, where Gudrid tells Einar, "Is Thorfinn strong?" I'm like, lady, you have no freaking idea how strong this guy is. He took 100 punches to the face. And then Thorfinn finds a dog, which leads him to a little cellar. And then he sees the woman that we saw get shot, which is her baby. And I thought this was a sweet scene because I'm like, she's grasping on with adrenaline, with holding with dear life to protect her child. And as a parent, you would do that. And I really like that scene. It's really, really, really good. It's really good. Then as soon as he takes it and she knows that her baby, okay, she dies, So now they have a baby, and I'm like, what the hell do we freaking do? They have no idea. And the next one of the scenes in the chapter, which is, I laughed out loud, where it says, babies need milk. And he's like, Thorfinn's telling Gudrid, I'm counting you on that. She's like, what? You can't give milk unless you've given birth before. I'm like, really? That's how that works? Yeah, it's how that works. And I get why that conversation had to happen. I mean, come on. This guy, all he known is violence throughout his life and slavery. He doesn't know what women do. So it's not your typical manga shit that says, oh yeah, the guy's cool. I'm like, about women? No, I mean, it's realistic. It has some truth to it. It does. And then they're trying to, in this island, they're trying to give the kid up to some family members who were related. And it's later revealed that 2 family tribes came in conflict, and one of them wiped the other one out, so that baby's the last one. And if you give it to another villagers, they'll want revenge, because they realize that kid wasn't there before. Where did he come from? So they're not. So they still have the baby. And I really like the conversation between Thorfinn and Gudrid and Knight, because they're saying why they're worrying about revenge. And what I really like Thorfinn is saying is that's just tradition. It's Norse tradition. When a baby grows up, he'll take revenge. It's a norm. Don't mean to sound racist here, but it's a norm. And what else? Oh yeah, you realize that's just to uphold the peace. When one takes revenge, it's a weird system about it. And I really like the conversation because this is the first conversations they had together. So it really raises awareness of how these 2 characters are going to build. Because if you know your history, you know what's going to happen. Not going to spoil anything because remember, Thorfinn and Gudrid are actually fictional characters. So it's Leif. Einar is not. So Einar is fictional. So I don't know what could happen to him, but I really love his character. And they're saying they uphold the peace. That's their way of vengeance. But I'm like, and Thorfinn wants to create a world where vengeance and peace and violence. I hope you realize that you need to have violence, at least not provoke it, but to defend yourself and defend in innocence. Because you just, as much as you would love to have a world without violence, it ain't gonna happen. But a man can dream. And the last part is we finally get Sigurd after chasing them for he arrives there so late compared to Leif. I'm like, obviously Leif knows where he's going, but Sigurd does not, so he got lost. And they're saying, we're here to take Gudrid back, you asshole. And then they wake up the baby, and I'm like, Thorfinn's like, no. I'm like, Gudrid wasn't there, but she's hiding. I'm like, it was just really 4 chapters. It was really fun. I really love this series. I really hope it gets translated. I wanted to start reviewing, and especially this series, because I really I really don't want it to get lost. It needs to be more mainstream. And actually, I will review more historical manga. And one of the ones I've been reading for a while, but I'm not gonna do a full. I'm gonna review it in many chapters. It's Historia. It's about the secretary of Alexander the Great. It's actually from the creator of Parasite, and so I'm like, he's right now the guy who's creating Parasite. He created Parasite years ago because of the anime. He's getting popularity again. So right now it's a good thing to bring his underrated series Historia, which is it's not bad. It's not bad at all. The art could be a lot better, but it's not a bad series. And to do it, oh well. This is Reviewer of Destiny. Peace out.